So if you're a Manchester United fan, that weekend was, certainly going to be a perfect weekend for you to smile. But if you're a City fan, then there are still worries. And City are up against, Villa again. But first off, the manner in which City were able to contain the game at a point and then just let it go. I mean, Kwame Inimba for workers. Kwame, you tell us first off, Manchester City, what's wrong?
I mean, we've been here over and over again to discuss what's wrong with Manchester City.
Absolutely.
We are gradually sound like a broken record because clearly the issues are very visible for us all to see. Pep hasn't found himself in such a situation before, and he's having to navigate one of the most toughest period of his career where, I mean, I don't think he's ever dreamt, or any of us would have dreamt, that Pep Guardiola, holding a very good Man City team with all the record that he set with them, would go into this period where he's lost 8 games in 11 matches, only having to win, I think, 1 or 2. That was a game against Nottingham Forest, basically that, and there has drawn the rest of the games. Clearly there is a problem. I mean, I listened to Bernardo Silva speak right after the game, and he said that he sort of had to lay into Matheus Nunes for the way he defended or caused, I mean, the incident that happened that dramatically changed the game, and also said that in the last 15 minutes they played like under 15s.
True.
Clearly their heads were not screwed on. If you watch that game carefully, in the second half, United dominated large spells of the game and were having more touches in the City box than you would have expected City to do. This is Man City that was playing at home at the Etihad in a derby where you would expect that they have their heads switched on for 90 minutes and at some point, control the game. And if you check the XG, City were so down. I mean, aside the goal that they scored, there were majority of the time in the game, City barely threatened Manchester United. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if Onana had to make a save in the game. I'm not too sure if you had to. If you could recall, no crucial save. And that was Manchester City that was playing football. So clearly a lot has gone wrong with the team. They seem to have lost belief. They seem to have lost themselves. The patterns are not properly there, are not properly forming. And any coach will find it very difficult to drag the team back. And if you listen to Pep, he says, we are not good enough. And that's as simple as that. And truly, they've not been good enough. So for him, it's a difficult moment for him.
6-time champions.
6-time champions. And I mean, it's a difficult moment for... That tells you how things change in football quickly. Things do change quickly in football. There's a team that... You listen to other analysts talk about how much they've squeezed a lot out of this team. And clearly, you look at the age, the profile, and the players that are available.
The manager demands a lot of
these and you see, that's why, and not to sound like a Pep Ferguson comparison, but that's what really makes me really appreciate and respect Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, having to have a go with the team over and over again. Another year we have a go at it.
Through articles which say it's about how he pushes the youth into the system when the old guys are fading out.
That's so it tells you how much it takes to sustain success at that level. This is the point, and you could clearly see that this Man City team is going through a very difficult phase, and it lies on Pep to be able to drag them out. I mean, it looks as if they are getting out against Forest. It felt like they were getting out, beat them by 3-0, and then a setback happens again in the next game that they played in the league against Crystal Palace, where they led at some point, and then the game had to end in a draw, and that's how the situations are for them. Now going to Aston Villa, very difficult game. Now Villa themselves are not in a good moment. They are also having their own fair share of challenges, and they are one team that is conceding a lot. They seem to have also lost that spark, that's energy they had, especially when they are playing against teams of that nature. Look at the way and manner they lost against Nottingham Forest away from home. Very, very, very bizarre. So it's a tie between two teams, and it's an early kickoff too. A tie between two teams, exactly. A tie between two teams that are finding it very difficult. I mean, you look at Villa and their home record; it looks very good, but clearly they are having issues. And they would also have to play above themselves to be able to get something out of. Now, Pep's team has become a team that every team feels that they can have a go at. Now, Villa would also fancy their chances and would see how best they can also have a go at Pep's team. So it's a very tricky tie for anyone to predict. I mean, looking at both teams, the situation they both find themselves in, and how best you think they can navigate themselves out of the situation. Great.
Now, yeah, where should Villa gather that strength from? They'll be playing at home now, and it's against Citi. Kwame, exactly talk about that. Everyone is having the confidence. We can walk over Citi. Where should they generate that strength from to be able to match up with Citi? Should they look at the records that stands, or probably maybe if you want to look at that last game they played against United and gather some energy from there?
Well, with Aston Villa, they've not lived up to expectation. That accompanied them or was associated with them heading into the season. But if you look at it carefully, they are more or less, aside the Nottingham Forest game and the Crystal Palace game they drew. The Nottingham Forest game they lost, and the Crystal Palace game they drew. I think it's pretty much a situation where they've lost against the big teams, and that's the reason why they find themselves where they are, and they've let some people down. Because they lost to Tottenham Hotspurs, they lost to Chelsea, and yes, they lost to Liverpool too. And so, if you want to maintain your slot as a top 4 contender, and you are losing to the contenders in that top 4 race, knowing very well there's also Arsenal in the mix, the Spurs also in the mix, and now surprisingly, Nottingham Forest also in the mix. Yes, then you are not meeting expectations because you are losing to those teams that you are supposed to be contending with for that top 4 slot. And so where do they gather the strength, or where do they gather the belief that they can get past Manchester City? I think they can just look at the long injury list of Manchester City, knowing very well that even in this game, Ruben Diaz won't play because they got confirmed earlier today that he will miss, I think, 3 or 4 weeks to injury due to a ligament issue. And so, if you are going to play against a City team that's low on confidence and has to reshuffle its back line again, and they've been reshuffling it throughout the entire season. John Stones came in, he was out for a while. Even Ruben Diaz, he missed about 6-5 games earlier on in the season due to injury. Kyle Walker, the same. Manuel Akanji also missed some time. So they've had to do a lot of changes to that back line, and now they'll do it again because Ruben Diaz won't be available in this Aston Villa game. So that's where they have a little bit of an advantage in terms of their forward line. If they can get consistent pressing, high pressing from, I wouldn't, it's crazy to suggest this, but I think Oli Watkins should start this game. Despite the fact that John Duran is in
some crazy
top form, and Oli Watkins' form is on the opposite side, I think he should start this game.
I think the last time against City he scored as well.
Yeah, I think he should start this game because of the weaknesses I identified with the shuffle in the back line.
City's defense.
Yes. He's the one who can get them to. He's the one who can put them under a lot of pressure, and we've seen this Manchester City backline make a lot of mistakes.
True.
Very uncharacteristic of them, of a Pep Guardiola side, during this poor run. And so that's where you can hit them and really hit them hard by pressing them high and taking advantage of the lack of cohesion in that backline. And John Duran, for all the great things he's done so far this season, he is not the best when it comes to work rate, when it comes to pressing very high and triggering the press and knowing how to press. He's not the best. Oli Watkins thrives in that department, and I think he should be the one to start. As controversial as it might sound, I think he should be the one to start in order to get in order to get Aston Villa the advantage or the strength that you mentioned in this matchup against Manchester City.